I was wondering if I was going to make it through my speech without crying, so Taylor, you had me crying even before I started. But hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today. Maryhurst holds such a special place in my heart, and I'm really honored and humbled to share my experience with all of you today. I remember when I was first introduced to Maryhurst back in 2008. I had just been relocated here with Yum Brands. I was working for Taco Bell and was transferred here from California. I was always very passionate about working with community and with women and children in particular. And at the time, I had 2 children under 2. I had a husband who traveled a lot, and I had a busy job of my own, so I put that on hold for a little bit. However, my friend here and my former Maryhurst board member, Tony Clem, knew about my passion, and when I said I was ready to get engaged in the community here, she said, "I know just the place for you," and she was right. So she invited me to a lunch and learn. Judy will remember this. Judy was our CEO at the time, and I was able to come to campus and take a tour. And on the tour, I remember walking through the campus and seeing the girls. They were going to school, they were cooking together, they were playing basketball in the gym, and they were laughing like they were longtime friends. And if you didn't know it and know the journey or the story of how they ended up there, you would have just thought they were typical girls in middle school or high school in the suburbs here in Louisville. But as Taylor just shared with you, that couldn't be further from the truth. I vividly remember on that tour watching a video with Diane Sawyer, learning about a little girl named Summer. She was 13 years old. She was so physically, mentally, and emotionally abused that it brought tears to my eyes, still to think about her today. And as a mother of 2 small children at the time, I remember just thinking I couldn't imagine how a mother would allow her child to be so abused and neglected like that. And it just was shocking. So I knew from that day forward that I needed to be involved with Maryhurst and see what small impact I could make. So I'll make a quick public service announcement that if you haven't been to Maryhurst, to the campus, if you don't know a whole lot about it, I encourage you to just sign up for a lunch and learn on the website. It's still on there. I checked it out. And just go visit and see how you can get involved. There's plenty of opportunities. I promise you won't regret it. So over the next 10 years, I served on the board of directors, I chaired committees, and ultimately, I was the chairman of the board before I moved. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. It was not always easy conversations that we had for the board, and I know there's a lot of board members here today. I remember meetings where we weren't sure if we were going to make payroll that week, wondering if we were able to accept any new girls coming in who desperately needed our help, and always discussing the need for more state funding and how we were going to lobby to get more money to treat these children who had failed out of a system that had failed them year after year. But the most challenging board meetings were when the staff present were either silently pulled away or had to leave abruptly because a girl was in trouble and needed help. I remember we'd pause for a moment, put our heads down, and just hope that everything would be okay. And while there certainly were tough days at Maryhurst, there were a lot of happy ones too. I remember the graduation ceremonies where the girls would receive their diplomas. There were proms, there were sporting competitions. They would shop in the boutique and so much more. So many great happy memories as well. And over the years, as my daughters were growing up, I started to expose them to Maryhurst. And as a family, we would attend events at Maryhurst and interact with the girls, which I really enjoyed seeing. And I remember the teddy bear exchange, which was one of my girls' favorites that we would try to attend every year. We also began an annual tradition by adopting girls through the Maryhurst Adopt a holiday gift drive. And we would always make sure that we went shopping every year just for those girls, because it was important to us to know that the girls at Maryhurst may have woke up Christmas morning, didn't have family there, and we wanted to make sure that our adopted girls knew that someone cared enough for them to make sure that they had at least a joyful morning that Christmas day. And my daughters also enjoyed attending the holiday board dinner, and I may have dragged them up on stage a few times to sing the Christmas caroling that our board had to do, so if you know, you know, but it was a lot of fun. But anyway, my point is that Maryhurst also gave me the opportunity to share with my children and my family the importance of giving back to communities where we live and work, and to always, always be thankful for our blessings in life. Because not everyone is as fortunate as we are and has a safe place to go home to and live in a house without abuse or neglect. And even after I left Louisville in 2017 to join Chipotle and move to Denver, and then back to Southern California where I live now, I've always stayed connected to Maryhurst because, as I always say, Maryhurst has my heart. And as I was thinking about what I wanted to share with you today, I was thinking about how, in an odd way, the girls who walk into Maryhurst are some of the most lucky and unlucky girls that you'll ever meet. The trauma and torture that they have sustained in their short lives is both unimaginable and truly unacceptable. Yet they're the lucky ones because they were fortunate enough that Maryhurst had a bed available when they needed it most, where they would be cared for, loved, and treated with dignity and respect. The staff at Maryhurst would teach them that what they experienced was not the only path in life and that they could break the pattern. It's the experience that Taylor just talked about. Taylor and countless other girls like her just needed someone to ask them if they were okay and ask them what they needed and how they could help them. I'm afraid to imagine what would have happened to Taylor if she didn't show up at Maryhurst that day. Glad you're here. Speaking of the staff, before I close, I want to say a few words directly to the Maryhurst team, both past and present. Because you are the ones who show up every day for the girls who are scared, angry, hurt, and often convinced that the whole world had given up on them. You are yelled at, you are pushed away, you are tested in ways that most of us can't even imagine. And yet still you stay. You stay long enough for trust to begin, long enough for healing to begin, long enough for a young, broken girl who has only known trauma to finally feel safe. That kind of work changes lives, and that's what Maryhurst is doing. Maryhurst is so much more than a campus or a program or a building that we all know that's out on Dorsey Lane. It is a place where girls learn that what happened to them does not have to define who they will become. It's a place where they're treated with compassion, with patience, with empathy, and with hope. It is where they begin their own journey of hope. And to everyone in this room, the healing only happens because of people like you who care. Because as much as I would like to eliminate the need for Maryhurst altogether, we all know that's not going to happen. And in fact, the reality is, in the next few hours or days, or maybe even while we're here having lunch today, a young girl is going to show up at Maryhurst, literally carrying nothing but fear, trauma, and heartbreak that no child should have to endure. And because Maryhurst exists, and because of people like you who care enough and are willing to help, this young girl will be met with safety, with support, and surrounded by people who will refuse to give up on her. So she will finally have a chance to heal. She will find her hope. That is the power of Maryhurst. That is the impact of every staff member, every donor, every volunteer, and advocate in this room. And that is why, no matter where life takes me, Maryhurst will always have my heart. Thank you.